Let's start with Glam Lana. You're gonna need some staple Lana things, such as a brown wig, if your hair does not already look like hers. Lana is often rocking the classic red stiletto nails. I have this white button-down top that looks a lot like the one that she's wearing in the Born to Die album cover. Pair of red Converse high tops, which she is often rocking and also wearing in the Ride video.
I got my red shoes on tonight. You get it, because the line is dress, but I have on my red shoes and whoa.
And of course, the gigantic flower crown that she's wearing in the Born to Die music video. I was worried it was a little too big, but then I looked at a reference picture and it is just as gigantic as the real thing. Because we're trying to look as much like Lana as possible, we might need to change up the way that we do some things. These are how I would normally do my eyebrows, but I'm going to take them off and fill them in a different way to resemble hers a little more. If you don't have removable brows like me, just try to shape and fill in your own to match hers as best as you can, or if you want to get real serious, you can block yours out. Search it on YouTube, there's lots of tutorials, and then you can draw whatever you want on top of it. Hers vary, but they're not usually super defined, and they have a very round shape in the front as they taper towards the back. Here comes the fun part. So for the contouring, I'm taking a dark brown cream concealer. I'm choosing this because it best replicates what an actual shadow on my skin would look like. We're not going for pretty or natural or wearable here. We're doing this with the aim of transforming our facial features into someone else's. Therefore, the best choice is to pick a realistic color to replicate a shadow. Shadows are generally a darker color of the surface that they're on and a little more muted or desaturated. For the contouring itself, I'm starting with the nose, and her nose is very, very different from mine. It's almost the opposite in a lot of ways. Therefore, I'm going to need heavy contouring to get the shadows to be a believable version of Lana's nose. You might not need to do it as heavily as I do if your nose is already more similar to hers. Now, I can't tell you exactly what you need to do on your nose to make it look like hers, but I can point out to you the features of her nose that you need to aim for. For example, the bridge of her nose is very wide, and then her nose tapers down to almost a point at the tip. Mine is almost the exact opposite, where the bridge of the nose starts really narrow and it gets wider as it goes down, and I have a bulbous tip that isn't quite pointed up the way that hers is. Hers almost looks triangular. Her nose is also pretty short for her face. My nose is rather long, so I am putting concealer underneath of my nose, almost all the way up into the center of the tip of my nose, and that creates the illusion that it's shorter. She also has a split in her nose, which is why I'm accentuating the split in mine. And because her nose kind of points up a little bit, that's why I'm putting that line above the tip of the nose. Lastly, her nose is wide at the nostrils compared to the tip, so I am putting lines on the side of my nostrils and extending them up past them a bit, because that really sells the illusion that the tip is much thinner than the rest of the nose, unlike my natural nose. I also heavily shade the inside corners of my eyes and crease, because she has deep set eyes that are a little closer together than mine, so doing this will sell that illusion that they are closer together and deeper. Make sure after you've laid all this out or as you go that you're blending. Along with contouring, you obviously want to highlight. And this is the same basic principle as contouring, just using light in opposite ways. I'm using a really light, almost white concealer to highlight the bridge of my nose, since mine is sunken in and hers is not. I'm using it to clean up the lines on the edge of the nose because hers is very straight and mine is not. I'm also using it in the inner corners of the eyes because her eyes are very round and we really want to open them up. I'm using it to clean up the crease and to also make that more round. And I will also be using it later on the tip of the nose to further refine that pointed tip that she has. Throughout this contour and highlighting process, you're probably going to find yourself going back and forth quite a bit. I went back with contour underneath of the eyes as another way to make the eyes look more round. And then I also decided to contour the side of my face to try to match the shape of her face. I have a heart-shaped face and she has more of an oval-shaped face, so I was literally contouring out the sides of my face that add that extra width in the jaw. You obviously do not have to do this part if you don't want to, and it looks pretty darn weird up close because it's kind of like a 5 o'clock shadow, but from the front, it does slim the face. Extreme contouring kind of works like that, where it looks best from one angle and it looks a little strange from any other. Also, I totally hadn't realized this until I was forced to study Lana Del Rey's face for this. Not that I'm complaining, but she has a slight cleft chin also, so I contoured the chin a tiny bit. At least for me, the most important part to pull off this look was to get her nose right, so I spent extra time going back on that and really using the highlight to get the perfect shape. I essentially found that what works best is 2 lines down either side of the tip of the nose, a tiny bit above it, and then 2 straight lines going down at an angle, going off the sides of the nostril. That gives you kind of that upward triangular shape that she has. But again, this might not work exactly the same for you on your nose. After that, it was time to really just go in with a bunch of eyeshadows and set everything that was already there. I used dark brown shadows to go over most of the contour, keeping the crease the darkest. Also to go underneath of the lower lash line. Don't forget to line your eyes with a white pencil because she's got big doughy eyes and she's often seen wearing white in the waterline as it is. That is one attractive face you're making, Mikey. I am setting my lids and the inner corners of my eyes with a matte white eyeshadow. And then lastly, she does her eyeliner a lot of different ways, but I'm doing a small wing all the way across the top just to keep the eyes looking big and, again, round. Add some mascara and false eyelashes and the Lana eyes are done. You are almost as dreamy as her. There's one important, famous feature left. The lips. I'm starting out by contouring and highlighting the Cupid's bow area because that can actually help give the lips the appearance of being more full and pouty. Then I am taking a warm nude lip pencil. This is Trick by OCC, but if you have darker skin than me, likely, then you might want to use something else. And I am going to line my lips with this. To give the appearance of fullness, I'm going to be lining my bottom lip as normal and overlining the top lip in the outer corners. This is kind of similar to the pointed lip tutorial that I did a while back, only obviously way less pointy and exaggerated. This might change depending on your lip shape and size, but for me, I'm lacking the fullness in the upper lip that she has, whereas I'm fine on the lower lip. I'm using that pencil to fill in the lip completely, but you can use any lipstick that you think would go well with the lip liner. Finally, I would recommend putting a gloss on top of all of that because the shine from glosses will make your lips appear fuller. If you need to overline your lips quite a bit for this, a way to sell it a little bit more is to take that dark brown concealer color from the very beginning that you were contouring with and putting little tiny lines extending out from the natural end of your lips to the new end of your fake Lana lips. That way when your mouth is closed, it appears like your lips extend all the way out to there. Does that make any sense? I hope that makes some kind of sense. I almost forgot about blush. Don't forget the blush. She often has very rosy cheeks. And that is probably the closest my face is going to get to Lana Del Rey's. Unfortunately. Although something that would help make a big difference is if I had dark hazel eyes like her. I only seem to own really creepy contacts, so just pretend for a second that I had hazel contacts in this whole time, so I could channel Lana just a bit more. Oh crap! I forgot. Again, she has a beauty mark, guys. Don't forget the beauty mark. It's on her cheek, on the right side, I think. Don't forget that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of Lana and to the babeliness for which she stands, one nation, under sexiness, indivisible, with Lana and more Lana for all. There's no better way I can think of to combine glam and gore than to make the most beautiful woman on earth into a zombie. She is the definition of a zombie. Lana bless America.
It's you, it's all for you. Everything I do. Red, white, blues in the sky, summer's in the air, baby, heaven's in your eyes. Love you more than those bitches before. Say you'll remember, oh baby, say you'll remember, oh baby, ooh. Then I kiss your heart in the pouring rain. You like a girl's insane. Choose your last words, this is the last time. 'Cause you and I,
we were born to die. We're gonna make our Zombie Del Rey out of gelatin. You might recall this smelly stuff from the DIY heart tutorial where I teach you how to make it. So go check that out over here. Heat that up, come back, pull your hair out of your face because things are about to get messy. And in case this wasn't obvious, you're not going to want to do both the glam and the gore part of this tutorial because the gore part covers all of the glam. So pick your poison and go for it. Cover yourself in a cape or a plastic bag or take your clothes off first. Whatever works for you, because it's going to get stuck to whatever you're wearing. Once the gelatin is hot, you want to first of all be really careful and maybe spend some time dancing, because if you put this stuff on your face straight out of the microwave, you're going to burn yourself. Please check it with your finger first. If it's too hot for your hand, it's definitely going to be too hot for the sensitive skin on your face. I am warning you. Be careful. Don't eat it. So when you're working at the top of your face for this, you want to keep your head tilted far forward so that you're not risking this dripping down into your eyes. Makes sense, right? Don't forget to do it though. And then I'm basically just laying it down all over my face in big globs, and I am patting it with a popsicle stick, tongue depressor, whatever it is you want to use, as it gets tacky and it gives it a weird texture. You want to build this up randomly, you want to poke holes in it, you want to make it uneven because we don't want a smooth surface in the end. We want stuff with a lot of craters and gross, stringy skin things. I first saw BeautyByBrig do this gelatin-covered zombie face. You should check her out because she's awesome, and I think it is one of the cheapest and easiest ways to get a really gnarly, messed up zombie face. I was going for really bulbousy, deformed, and just utterly unrecognizable, so it's a good thing that we have our flower crown and Lana outfit to identify ourselves. Cut off any excess that's dripped down off of your face. That sounds really lovely. And then you're going to do the same thing down your neck. When you're all done, you can throw it back in your little Tupperware bin and recycle it for the next zombie. Much like Glam Lana, this is all going to be about highlighting and contouring now, believe it or not. I'm taking a foundation to match my skin, and I'm going to lay that all over the top areas of the gelatin, and that's really going to show us what textures we're working with in terms of where the crevasses are and where all the pustules are and stuff. That's the highlight part. Now for the contouring, we're going to put dark colors in deep places, starting with the eye sockets, which are the most obvious and easy to do. I didn't cover my eyelids completely at first, but I ended up covering the whole eye socket in black eventually anyway. Then everywhere else, I'm just going to start putting dark brown colors in the deepest places of the gelatin. I'm using aqua paints to do this, which are water-activated paints. You can also use alcohol-activated paints, cream paints, or anything that you find works. I prefer using alcohol or water-activated paints on this kind of thing because using the water or alcohol as your medium to thin out the paint is a great way to have it sink into the deepest parts of the mask rather than having to stick your brush in every little spot. Much like Glam Lana highlighting and contouring, you're going to be going back and forth with this probably a few times as well. After I've covered the deep areas in dark paint, I'm going back in with my highlight to bring out the highest points again. I eventually start adding a little bit of black into the holes just to make some parts of it look even deeper. I also added in some gray to my highlight color because I decided that my skin was looking a little too glowy and beautiful to be a zombie. It just wasn't screaming death to me. And then I'm topping it off, of course, with scab blood. I put in some freaky white zombie contacts, and I wanted to be spewing some blood that looked old and rotten, so I'm using chocolate syrup to do the job. Mmm, delicious. I look like a chocoholic, drinking straight out of the bottle. Which, by the way, I wouldn't recommend. I only did it because, well, quite frankly, I was being lazy. It's sticky and it's awful, but it looks very zombie-esque, so it's worth it. Just watch your carpets, because I learned the hard way. When it's all painted, fix your hair, put your precious flower crown back on, and you're ready to hit the town. So what'll it be? Glam Lana or Zombie Del Rey? Only you can decide. Or you can do both, just at different times. Under sexiness. Individual. With, what is it? Isn't it individual? Indivisible. I haven't done this in a long time. Indivisible. Too much? Too much fun over here. Someone stop me from all the fun I'm having. This is not serious. I'm supposed to be serious. We were born to die. That's not serious. I can't be serious. We were born to die. It lasted for about 30 seconds. Sorry. Born to die. So we're in a parking lot right now, a big abandoned parking lot, as you can see. It's lovely. And we're bugging out. I think we've caught the attention of some people doing this, because someone in Krispy Kreme definitely saw me walking towards them like I was hungry for brains and donuts. So, I'm gonna take this off and we're gonna run, because we're getting a little paranoid. We just saw cops. Are their lights on? So we're worried that we're gonna have to bust out of here, or that I'm gonna have to talk to a cop like this. So I think it's time we go. Let's get out of here.